festivities up with Group J's Calvin Schoolidge versus garethdmm, and this is as much of a fight for second place as you can possibly get. KCM is already locked in on first with 2 wins and a draw. Zero TKA is already out with 2 losses and a draw. Both the 2 competitors we're going to be seeing fighting today are both 1-1. So whoever comes out with a better differential here gets the spot, and it looks like the tiebreakers are dead even as well. So if they draw, I have no idea what happens.
If they draw, that means they have to replay a tiebreaker match on round of 32 rules. It's the same venue set. It's still the same group stage venues of ballroom, courtyard, library, and high rise, but they have to play it as if it were a round of 32, and they have the overtime clause for that match, but it is a completely replayed match if they draw.
Oh, that's going to be insane. So, hopefully for the blood pressures of everyone involved, that doesn't happen, but we shall see. Second of all, we're going to be going to Group M with Monaders versus Cotty, and it's a little bit less clear what's happening in this case, because we're pretty sure Yeesh is already going through.
Yeah, Yeesh has not played their match versus Sergio yet. There was some scheduling issues with that, I heard. But the expectation is Yeesh is probably going to win that one, and he is locked in for at least getting out of the group no matter what. Already has 2 wins under his belt in that sense. So Cotty versus Monaders is very, very likely to be the battle for second and third place. Whoever wins this is going to go to face Rio in the round of 32, while the loser is unfortunately going to have to sit out the rest of Summer Cup.
And because Cotty's on a loss and a win, and Monaders is on a loss and a tie, that means that Cotty basically has draw odds. If he can tie this match, he's going through.
Yes, that is true.
And then third, last but certainly not least, we're going to Group N with Iggy the Grifter versus Spedmonkey.
And this group is crazy right now because Falconhit was the expected kind of favorite in this group to get out first. However, has not quite performed up to those expectations. Took a loss and a draw. Lost to Iggy, who is playing today, and drew against the Headhunter in their Week 3 match. So this is a wide open group. The Headhunter is eliminated. I believe Falconhit does almost guarantee themselves out in second place, unless there's like a draw in this match and then there's like some tiebreaker shenanigans with Spedmonkey. But that's something we'll talk about later if it comes up. Basically what this is if you win this match, you're in first place in the group. If you lose it, you are now in third. It's first and third, not second and third this time. And Iggy does have draw odds because they tied and won, where Spedmonkey lost and won.
We'll keep you up to date on all of these as we start the games, but once again, we are going to be opening up the night with Group J's Calvin Schoolidge versus garethdmm, a fight for second place and a fight to make it into the bracket. We are going to be starting things off with Calvin Schoolidge on the spy side of things, Gareth on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, so this is going to be a really interesting match because, well, I'm personally have a lot of interest in this because the winner of this match goes into round of 32 to play yours truly, and Calvin starting us off with a 45 seconds on the clock extra.
Yeah, especially on the green test, those are all a little bit tricky to see, even against people who do look for that sort of thing off the top of the game. 34% as well, coming off of the early flirt, and we're in conversation with the double agent, so pretty good start for Calvin.
Yeah, here comes a contact. It's a green. We're not going to do any kind of split shenanigans, so there's going to be a few lowlights, and we're not going to pick up any undue suspicion for a split, but we also don't get the potential opportunity to become a low light. However, because we have those extra 45 seconds, something that's kind of underutilized sometimes on Ballroom, people don't like to time out as much, but timeouts can be very big. That extra 45 seconds is going to allow us to stand around, maybe just pick up some flirts casually as we look around for our missions.
Pretty good contact too. Only 2 lowlights coming out of it. Another one came off a little bit later. Now we are stepping into side statues. We've got 1 mission on the board. This will be a pair of inspects for us, and the 1 flirt with just under 3 minutes left to play. So tons of time to work with.
Critically, I don't think we were ever seen at those statues. We were kind of hidden behind the SDA in general, and the sniper angle never really caught a glimpse of us while we were at the statue. So I'm not sure if Gareth actually is on top of the fact that we have visited statues, and that could be really big for later in the game. If we decide to go back to side statues, it's going to look as if it's just our first statue visit, unless, of course, I could be wrong. Gareth could have noticed that we were at those statues, but just from the camera movement, it doesn't seem like we have been noticed there, and we are going to go in for a fingerprint.
Yeah, that could be absolutely huge. Fingerprint comes off clean. Let's see how the return is. It's a little tight, gets the bug off during it.
Yeah,
it
that
looked pretty good from the sniper side of things, too. That's a beautiful play.
Yeah, that's a lot of cover taken by Calvin right there. There was Teal, there was this big conversation right in front of you, and as Gareth, you kind of have to be rotating to see if that bug is happening, because you're not going to be able to see it from just the straight-on view of the ballroom. The only way you could see that is with the snapback of the arm to the center mass of Alice, but even then, you have a lot of cover from Calvin Schoolidge, so it's just really hard to see that even if you're looking for it. So the sniper angle not there, and we have a lot of options to finish these missions now as Calvin.
Absolutely. The last flirt has come off. We've got 3 missions done and 1 to go. Fingerprint is still on the table. The inspects are still on the table as well. So basically anything Calvin wants to do here will finish the game for him with 1 minute and 10 left to play.
Yeah, and this might be where that second statue visit coming in without being a suspect for it would be really big. We're not a highlight at all. We have so many options to finish. We could just go into statues. That does look to be the way we're going to finish this.
Another side statue visit. This has been such a nice game from Calvin.
Yeah, and we might pick up a highlight here. I just don't see a shot coming off, and 7 seconds left on the mission win countdown. We're not even really picking up any much attention for these statue visits, and Calvin Schoolidge is going to go up 1-0 with a spy win on ballroom.
Man, what a way to start the set. That was commanding.
Yeah, absolutely. That bug was really nice. Very aware of the sniper angle and the fact that you had a lot of cover for that bug. That bug is not always as good as it looked right there. It's just a combination of how ballroom kind of can defer depending on where all of the guests are. The guests are the occlusion on ballroom. That's something big that you need to know as when you're playing as Spy. And Calvin Schoolidge makes use of those guests very well to get that bug and the win.
Yeah, and the first statue visit. That was just a very nice played game all around. Let's see if Gareth is going to find a way to answer back from the Spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, we are going to AI control a little bit here. It's pretty interesting. I've kind of noticed that newer players, which does describe Gareth here, do tend to AI control a little bit longer than more veteran players. I think it's a little bit, they don't want to get caught out for like random bouncing in the beginning of the game, and have not been adapted to trying to take opportunities immediately in the beginning of the game, like potential chaos bugs. So a little bit of AI control. We're going to get 31% flirt, and 31%'s not the best percentage.
Yep, just very slightly too far away. For those of you who don't know, the best percentage you can get on a flirt that's not a green test is 34%. So if you don't hit your green test, you're coming up just short of a 3 flirt.
Yeah, that is going to be really unfortunate for Gareth if cannot hit any green tests. So we'll see if Gareth can hit that. In the meantime, if I think it's important to note that for Gareth, you don't have to stand next to your ST anymore. You don't have to stand right next to them. We could take a bug here, but doesn't seem like we will.
No, the talk animation went for a little bit too long, and we went for the flirt as well while that was all going on. So 63% is where it currently stands after 2 whites from a slight distance, so we are going to need a green test on the third one for the 3 flirt. And we don't really have any other progress with 2 minutes to play either. This has been a slow game from Gareth as he steps in the center statues.
Yeah, trying to remedy that fact that we don't really have that much progress. However, it is going to pick us up a highlight for the statues. So it's going to be, a kind of big suspicion. Statues are always something that could very well be a crutch on both Spy and Sniper. Spies sometimes, you could say, do them too much, and snipers rely on statue highlights a little bit too much at times. So we'll see if that holds true this game, whether or not Calvin is going to shoot for those statues. But if they are, we've got quite a few statue visitors go, and we'll see if Gareth can kind of pay attention to the fact that we have multiple statue visitors and multiple people to pay attention to.
But the time is starting to tick down very quickly indeed. Purloin comes off on a white test with 1 minute to play. Gareth is trying to get out of there, but Calvin Schoolidge is on top of things. The shot comes off, and it's 2-0.
Yeah, if you want to go for a white or even a Purloin at all, you don't really want to white in any case, in most cases at least. But if you're going to go for Purloin, you probably don't want that statue highlight before you do it. You don't want the attention that is going to be drawn when you've got that big old fat highlight and a center statue visit under your belt. And Gareth goes down, unfortunately, is not able to make the spy win conversion happen.
Yeah, just played it a little bit too slow, got himself too caught up on the clock, had to go for a desperation play, and it didn't quite work out. Now Calvin Schoolidge is back on the spy side of things, but this time with a 2-0 lead and on Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, the Courtyard, I think we say it every single time we cast Courtyard, which is every single cast in the Summer Cup currently. It's a very scripted venue because it's all about that one hard tell, the Purloin, the bug, the fingerprint, or the swap. And the fingerprint is kind of just a de facto hard tell on Courtyard. You could shoot AIs because of it, unfortunately, but
Oh my God.
do go for an immediate swap. It's happened, and we'll see if we're that big of a suspect.
Okay. I feel like Gareth didn't quite catch all of it. Wasn't sure who was at which statue, but I'm pretty sure it's down to 2 here.
Yeah, it would be down to 2 if you're not quite sure on which person was at which statue. There's only one person that could be if you had memorized statues and knew where everybody was on the statue visits. However, I don't think Gareth has actually noticed the swap.
It's very possible. Like, we've still got a total of 3 highlights. Mind you, we're one of them, but we just came out of the statue visit. We only got 1 inspect from it. But that doesn't really matter if you've got the swap off. You don't mind going back into statues.
Yeah, we're seeing some more highlights for the statue visits, as is kind of tradition on Courtyard. So it does look like the statue swap was not seen, and if that's the case, then Calvin Schoolidge going to go right back into statues again, which is not really going to pick up any extra suspicion unless the sniper remembers that you were blocked from being able to get your second inspect because of another character. That's something that's kind of hard to remember if you're just rote highlighting for statues and that's how you're remembering it all. So we're going to see if Calvin Schoolidge dies for this, and I just find it very, very unlikely at this point.
Well, snipers often will let people survive a lot longer than they should. They don't give us as much information as we would like them to as casters quite often, but that's usually something that happens with the more veteran snipers. Someone like Gareth, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. We've got the 2 missions done now. We've got 85% on the flirt. We still have 1.5 minutes to play. The hardtail's gone. If Gareth isn't on top of this swap, I think that's game over. It's gotta be a fake contact, though.
Yeah, and despite the fact that this conversation is so big, this is a legitimate fake from us, and that's really, really unlikely from Calvin. I'm not sure why we went for that fake in that case. Maybe we've figured out who the SDA is, but that's very hard to do on Courtyard.
I think it's because the other person who was at statues, who we saw got highlit, it was in conversation with the real double agent.
That might be it, yeah. Awareness of who could have also swapped from Calvin Schoolidge, trying to get that frame off, but the fact is, if your sniper doesn't, know what you're framing for, the frame's never going to work. That is kind of the reliance of frames. You want the sniper to notice the things that you want them to notice. It's a very hard game to play for that exact reason, because you're relying on them to just know what you want them to know and nothing else. And the ST,
In the end of red.
come on, buddy, come on.
Contact comes off on a real one this time. The shot comes off as well. And Calvin Schoolidge takes the first 3.
Yeah, going up 3-0 is a very, very impressive start from Calvin here. Again, this is a group where winning this match will just promote you straight into the round of 32. So, and Calvin Schoolidge is one away from securing at the very least a tiebreaker match against Gareth here. Just so you can't actually lose on this match. And Gareth is only 2 games away of being knocked out of the Summer Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, this is a bit of a mountain to climb. Like, even if we win this game, we're still down a set at the halfway point, and when the sets are this short, that is not an easy comeback to make. Calvin Schoolidge now on the sniper side. Gareth needs to find something. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, we'll see what Gareth can find on the spy side of here. We're gonna wander around a little bit. We did actually take control. Oh, that's a nice bug!
Oh, it was right there!
That was a really nice bug. It was a wrong arm away from the camera, but unfortunately, the sniper angle was just rotated in time to see that we had our arm out a little bit. We don't get shot for it, and that bug could have been so nice, but we still pick up the highlight anyways. A nice little catch, I think, by Calvin Schoolidge, and it might be hard to win at this point, but if Calvin Schoolidge hasn't shot us for the bug and is crediting it, it's still going to be a hard shot to take later in the game, even if we do complete missions.
I don't know. That was really well guarded by Calvin Schoolidge. The rotation was on point, so it was actually pretty visible on the wrong arm. It was a beautiful attempt, but Calvin Schoolidge was just really on top of things, and that immediate highlight afterwards, I think, tells a lot.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see if Calvin Schoolidge is as sure of this bug as we think with that highlight, but just the execution on that bug is not something you would really expect from a newer player, and maybe that kind of plays in to the Calvin Schoolidge's expectations. How could a player this new have a bug that nice? And do I rely on what I thought I saw, or is it just not good enough?
Well, the contact comes off. We've got the bug done and 34% on the flirt. If we survive statues, I might start to believe, but I honestly don't think Gareth is going to be able to come away from this.
Yeah, part of what makes it a little bit more difficult to get away with this is actually the fact that we were talking during the contact. It was a white contact. That is something that snipers will attribute more suspicion to against most players, just because it's that, okay, this character is even more suspicious now because this is a spy action and you have to hit a green test to not do it. So that could hurt us a lot going into the later stages of this. We are going to go next to our ST again. I'm not sure if we'll be paired here. If Calvin thinks of this bug, he will have been watching this flirt really closely, so we'll see if there's a shot going to be coming off for that kind of thing. Oh.
Yeah, didn't even want to wait for the statue visit, saw him go back to the flirt target and just had enough. Shot comes off, it's 4-0. Calvin Schoolidge has already guaranteed at least a draw going into library.
Yeah, and that's going to be really big for Calvin Schoolidge here. The kind of mental load off, now that you know that you have secured at the very least you're not going to be knocked out during this match, is really big. And of course, on the flip side, Gareth every game is now fighting for his tournament life. And that's going to be something that's got to be difficult, to think about, especially as a newer competitor coming into Summer Cup.
This is a rough situation to be in for anybody, but especially, as you were saying, for a newer competitor. Let's see if Calvidge is able to put this match to bed, or if Gareth can find a way to stay alive in Library. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flexibility on library for the spy side. There's a lot of different openers you can do. The ST is not really settling anywhere, and we're kind of walking away, so we might not be, going for a flirt opening that you might normally see. We do turn back around after a little bit of a stutter, maybe trying to get that bug, but now we're just going to go into an innocent conversation. I think all of the plans that Calvin had in their head kind of just aborted during that walk.
Yeah, that was definitely very awkward. Gareth doesn't look like he's attributed anything to it, so everything's fine for Calvidge Schoolidge so far as he picks up the early fingerprint off the briefcase.
Yeah, the early fingerprint is pretty hard sometimes to know is happening. Just because, well, it's not hard to know is happening. That's a bug, and
Oh,
it's
yes,
completely off
off
screen.
camera. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and so that's going to be a really big advantage. And the early fingerprint is really interesting because if you wait on that fingerprint, on that second fingerprint to like the very end of the game, it can be sometimes hard to remember for the sniper. Did you have that first fingerprint in? Since it's been so long since you got it. So we'll see if Calvin uses that to its potential here. But despite that, even if we don't use it to that kind of potential, we do have a lot of progress really early. The only thing I would say I would like more about this game is if we had some flirt progress, just because that early flirt can kind of burn you later in the game. We still have 3 minutes to get it done, so it shouldn't be an issue though.
Contact comes off. We've got 3 lowlights from it, and already 2.5 missions done with 2.5 minutes to play. So this is looking very good for Calvin Schoolidge right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Calvin, kind of putting on a clinic here of, solid spy play, solid sniper play, and that's really what you want to be seeing if you're Calvin right now. You want to think, all right, I can just lock this down. I will take this 5-0 and lock it out immediately.
That's always what you want to have. It's a dream for Calvin Schoolidge and a nightmare for Gareth. 2 minutes to play. We're about to pick up the second flirt, I think. Shouldn't be too
Yeah.
long now before the cooldown comes. We weren't able to hit a green test on the first one, so it's just the 34%. Calvin actually steps away from it instead of going for the timer, which is
Yeah,
fair.
it's a little bit strange, just because if you've waited for that long, next to your ST, I feel like the invested time already is that you should continue to wait. It's kind of a sunk cost fallacy in a sense, but it's not. It shouldn't be thought of that way, because if you were to make that decision and go for that, go for that extra missions instead of going for the fingerprint, for the flirt rather, you should just do it immediately. However, we do pick up the last fingerprint.
Yeah, second fingerprint coming off on the statues with 1:10 left to play as we step away from it. We got a little bit caught up on the way in there, but now we're finally stepping in for the second flirt. Comes off on a green test for 85% with still a minute on the clock, so we can just sit here and wait for the timer flirt, except that we still need an inspect. So Calvin Schoolidge is going out for that right now, and this might be Gareth's only chance.
Yeah, Gareth. As I mentioned, statues are a bit of a crutch. We see a lot of new players shoot for statues in contact, and a little bit of extra suspicion going on. So we'll see if that shot comes off. That would be the only way I expect that Gareth actually wins this game at this point, just because there's a 10-second countdown and you have to shoot now. It might just even be a flirt shot if it's happening, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think once Calvin got away from that statue with his life, that was done and dusted. Gareth does not seem like a sniper who's confident enough to shoot for flirts, but that is 5 straight. Calvin Schoolidge getting it done.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Calvin Schoolidge is going on into the round of 32 to face myself. So I'll have to study these games, I suppose.
How are you feeling after that display?
You know, a little bit less good than I was like 20 minutes ago.
Fair enough.
Are we gonna do all 8 games? I don't think we talked about that.
I think
we've only got 3 casts tonight. We may as well play them all, right?
All right. Let's see if Gareth can kind of show a little bit of signs of life here, I suppose, because it's a newer player. You're not expected to do all that much, so let's see if Gareth can actually come out of this and say, you know what, it's fine. I may have lost here, but I am gonna be back. I'm gonna be better, and you guys will not forget my name.
See if we can get a little bit of a redemption arc going with Gareth on the spy side of library in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Alright, Gareth, starting off with Papa Danger. Got that scary cane bug and the convo entry bugs. A lot of strength in this character around bugs. We'll see if we can convert onto that during this game. In the meantime, though, nothing really happening.
Yeah, another relatively slow start coming out of Gareth. Into the yellow bookcase. I don't think we saw Calvin even touch the bookcases last game, which is very unusual on this map.
Let's see. Ooh. That's a microfilm, and it's not actually going to be seen, it looks like, because there was a little bit of camera movement from Calvin there on the sniper side. Even though it was on screen for a bit, just the fact that the camera was moving a lot, the ambassador was kind of moving into the area, and Calvin was making the rotations, gets that microfilm away, despite it being white, despite the ambassador being nearby. So it's a very nice start for Gareth here, but again, no flirt progress yet in this game.
Yeah, it was possible to have seen that in the last quarter of the animation, but as the camera is swinging over, it's very hard to see that kind of thing. Yellow microfilm in pocket and no other progress. Gareth playing this really slow.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a little bit of a pick up the pace here from Gareth, or time ads. You really don't want to start timing out against this sniper who hasn't misshot yet in the series.
Absolutely.
And we do seem to be picking up the pace just a little bit with our 34% flirt now coming in from Gareth. That is good to get the early flirts done and dusted just to make sure you're not going to be screwed by the late game. Your ST going to pick up a briefcase or something when you need that one last flirt, but we still are kind of running low on time as we do this.
Absolutely, especially with only one flirt and half of a microfilm and 2 minutes and 15 left to play. Gareth is going to have to move pretty dang fast in the second half of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. But, despite that, Gareth is just kind of standing there. Maybe the pressure is getting to them a little bit, not kind of restricting their normal spy play. Casual games, for a lot of people, can actually look a lot better than competitive games, despite, what you would think about competitive. You want to be trying really hard, but the pressure can get to a lot of people I know. A lot of high-profile players do have problems with nerves, and that's what, holds them back competitively, like Screwloose, top of silver in the last season of SCL, and actually won his group in Summer Cup. So that kind of thing can hold them back. We'll see if Gareth can overcome that. Here comes the contact.
Yeah, contact coming off. Pretty good reaction. Immediately picks up 3 lowlights. Now a 4th. Gareth, surprisingly, even with so little time left, had actually gone for the timer flirt off the first one. Hit a green on it for 85%, but that's the first mission completion. And we only have 1 minute left to play.
Yeah, 1 minute left unless we can find a time ad, I suppose. Time ads can be very, very strong on library. We do step into the window pad. This might be the time to do it. Here it is. It's a red test.
It's a red test! It's fine. It's fine. Red test time ads aren't that bad unless you're paying pretty good attention to the clock, but second mission completion, and even with that, we only have 1 minute and 20 left. That is not a lot of time on this map.
Yeah, it's not.
White Purloin coming off out of desperation once again. It's on camera. It's right there. Highlight comes off, and then the shot. And Calvin Schoolidge is not slowing down.
Yeah, despite the secure of the round of 32, Calvin Schoolidge is out to make a statement. And we'll see if Calvin Schoolidge can actually convert on the potential 8-0 game, or if Gareth can come back with a couple of games, fire back, and say, no, you do not get to have this. You will not get this from me. And that's going to be Gareth on the sniper side of High Rise with the standard mission layout.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Calvin Schoolidge stepping into the spy side of things, but for next game, Gareth tends to play a very slow spy game, and this is a map where that can really work in your favor.
Yeah, you do have to be aware of who you want to be framing, so it is going to take a little bit of work. Even if it is a slow game, you need to be aware of the party, but that style definitely can work on a high rise. You can get some AI shot. In the meantime, though, we've got Calvin Schoolidge on the spy side, and they're just kind of sitting there in the bookcases with microphone off.
Yep, nothing too much going on yet. You've got plenty of time to mess around on this map, so no reason to feel rushed, especially not so early on in the match.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to path the not suspicious way around this ambassador. We could have tried to take that bug path. It would have maybe been nice if we get the wrong arm bug, or just, put our arm right into Taft's big bony body, and instead we just get some statues. Highlights, I mean, okay, there
Well,
is
we
the
do
actual
get one of those.
we do get the actual highlight, but we get a couple of inspects, is what I meant to say.
And it looked like we were going to go for the briefcase, but we lost the race, had a pretty good redirect out of it, and are now in conversation with the double agent.
Yeah, that might have been an intentional loss of the race. Sometimes you just want to look AI-like by the fact that you have gone for that briefcase, and you don't actually want to pick it up and give yourself the mission progress. But in this case, here comes the white contact.
Let's see how Gareth reacts to
Banana
this.
bread.
Couple of lowlights available.
Yeah, two
Does get both
lowlights.
the easy, hard lowlights. It took him a little bit of time to do it, so...
I think that's actually a bit intelligent by Gareth there, just because you want to be first and foremost kind of watching for that potential bug from one of your highlights near the ambassador in the aftermath of the contact. We do go for a drink fingerprint, and that does not take.
So we have the contact done, and the
Oh.
2 inspects is where we currently stand.
Yeah, that being said, we have no flirt progress. And I feel like this is not going to take either. They've been there for so long. Oh, the
SIP saved it!
SIP, yeah.
1% on the green test. And now we're going back into statues once more to finish up the inspects.
Yeah, so, we might see a shot just for the completion of the inspects here. That might be something that Gareth wants to be doing. It would be the spy in this case, but that is the risk you take. If you've been watching closely, you know that Twin could not have finished Flirt yet, and that would be something that is...
Oh, he does indeed take the shot off of the statues. Gareth, after 6 games, finally fighting back, and as previously mentioned, this is a pretty good map for Gareth's current spy style.
Yeah. And something to note about that shot is that it was well after 10 seconds after the statues have been inspected. It was 13 seconds after, so if Gareth thought that Twin had Flirt there, that would have been a loss. But I think that perhaps the shot was prompted by going back to the seduction target that we had been chasing around in the last minute and a half there. So that was a very nice shot by Gareth to ensure that there is no complete cold sweep of 8-0 here for Calvin Schoolidge. And we'll see if Gareth can convert it into a 6-2.
Yep, we shall see. One more, Gareth. This time from the spy side, as Calvin Schoolidge steps back in the sniper seat one more time. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, this should be interesting. The normal a little bit of an accidental low light onto us, but that is corrected immediately. No hope for that. We'll see how this progresses. We are next to our ST, so we're immediately going to start out with a better flirt progress than than Calvin's last game. Oh, never
Never
mind.
mind. It's a red flirt.
Oh wait, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. He's back. It's totally fine. No big deal.
Not a problem. And the second target gets suspicion for it. So that works out just dandy. Hits a green test on the next attempt as well to put us up to 47%. We've got progress, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very nice. 47%. And, red test, you were going to white test anyways. Why not just green test instead? We do pick up a highlight, though.
Banana bread.
We do indeed. The contact comes off. Pretty full conversation back here as well. Only one person out entirely, and the back conversation had the SDA in it. So, one low light and not a whole lot of other information available. That is a good contact.
Yeah, it's a very nice contact. And, despite the fact that I say we pick up a highlight, before the contact, there was literally only one character who was not a highlight, and that was Cowboy. Now we have a low light, and Alice has been brought back down to neutral light, so it does have a little bit more impact, the fact that we do have this light right now. But it's still a little bit diluted just due to all of the activity and all of the suspicions other AIs have gotten from us right now.
Second flirt comes off for 79% as we step away to the window. 2 minutes left to play. A little bit of a twitch at the window. I don't know why, but it did happen as we now... Oh, and we missed the pad on the way into center statues. The shot comes off. It's a heartbreaker of a game. And Calvin Schoolidge isn't going to give Gareth a second. It's 7-1, the final scoreline.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate that stutter step onto the pad. That is a hard shot to make for Calvin Schoolidge. You kind of have to be wondering, is this character done with flirt? Is this actually the spy, or am I about to shoot an AI? Except when, that quote-unquote AI misses a pad and just makes the shot so much easier. Gareth, with a decent showing here, unfortunately not able to convert a win. Calvin Schoolidge going to be moving on into the next round of the tournament, round of 32, and